Hello everybody and welcome to this series between HDTV and Rusty Monty. My name is Slow Wolf and joining me, I've got Edster. Hey Edster, how's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. It's the finals.
Doing good or doing well?
I am doing well.
Thank you. It's important to me, okay? It's important to me, jeez. Anyway, yes, I'm excited to be here with you and with HDTV and with Rusty and another best of 3 series between these two teams. We just saw Rusty Monty take the previous series from Mature Dads, which was definitely something that I'm not sure was expected. I think that Mature Dads were expected to be the favorites in that particular matchup, although it was a close call. In this case, they are coming in here against HDTV, and HDTV obviously are a name that have been around for a little while and have, you know, a pretty decent amount of clout, especially to have gotten this far. What do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I mean, we should go into the draft because we need to get going with this game.
That's what I'm talking about. What's going to happen now? Then draft it is. So, go for it.
Going into the draft, we have HDTV on Team 1, Rusty on Team 2. We're looking at HDTV banning Genji, then Rusty bans Ted. No Genji, no Ted. Then HDTV opens up with a Leon pick, and Rusty Monty go for that Scoop and Sentry double pick. Very tanky comp they have right there. And then we're going to see HDTV pick up a Durple, which is a bit of a surprise, bit of a spanner in the works, and then ban out Ayla. And following this, Rusty Monty are going to ban Frog, and then we're going to see HDTV pick up Coco, and Rusty finish off with a Clunk. So, two very, very not quite meta teams, I would say. Don't see these guys very often. We've got a very tanky team on Rusty and a very sort of quite gimmicky team, but there's a lot of damage on HDTV.
Yeah.
A lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that you said that this isn't meta, but like the Scoop Sentry Clunk feels like it's maybe making a new meta. We've been seeing a lot of these tanks do incredibly well recently, but we'll have to see whether or not HDTV can out-damage the huge HP pools they have, and I honestly am just kind of excited to get this party started. Are you ready?
Yeah. I'm ready. I will give you a countdown. So we shall go in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Wonderful, and here we are on Aiguillon, land of the free and home of the hey, where'd you go? On the red team, we've got Jazz playing your Coco, Durple being played by Badass Ketchup, and then finally Pushkin playing your Leon. On the blue team, you've got Mr. Drump playing the Scoop, you've got Zydecore playing his pretty signature Clunk at this point, and finally Sentry being played by Sam!
Yeah, Sam Sentry is very, very good. With an exclamation mark. Builds, we're seeing a very strange build on the Durple. We're seeing a Piggy Bank into Split Cat and Fat Cat. No abilities on the Durple right now. And then we're seeing Leon Bank into Silence Tongue. He's just gone back and bought a stage of Damage Tongue. So no Invis, no Siege Mode, no Snares. We're not seeing very many abilities, but we are seeing double abilities on everyone else but this Leon and Durple.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm okay with that because of the huge amount of damage. As you can see here, HGTV's Pushkin managed to pick up the kill there. They do a huge amount of damage, and that silence is so key to dealing with a tanky team like this. Not to mention that fat split cats can do a decent amount of damage and push. That'll be farm for Badass Ketchup to be able to do whatever else he needs. And on top of that, it means that he isn't relying on being an immobile turret. He can just move around and do stuff, which is really good for him. Now, those early plays will force the blue team, at least the Clunk, to pick up a Piggy Bank, although it's not much of a force. It's a pretty easy sell as far as items go these days. What are you expecting to see out of this Durple? Will he continue to go the Catling gun, or do you think he's done a bit of an investment and he's good for that for now?
I think in terms of early game, that's what he's got, and we're seeing... I'm not actually that familiar on how Durples build. We are seeing him build that snare now, and then I would like to think we're going to see him pick up the nuke, because pick up Siege Mode, because Siege Mode is a very nice counter to the Sentry, because you can just... If you're in the black hole, you can just siege up and drop out of it. You know, you're immune to CC, so the gravity doesn't affect you.
Wait, hold on. A great tongue into an impeccable snare means that this gimmicky setup has managed to pay off at least once. We'll see if it can pay off again. But hold the phone. There's more important news. Whenever you have Fat Cat preloaded in your cannon, does the cat actually pop out of the cannon? Because if so, like while you're walking around, because if so, that is the cutest animation I've seen in this game, and this needs to be mentioned at least once. Sorry, it had to be. Okay, so Piggy Banks, triple Piggy Banks. Yeah, that is amazing, and I love it. The cat is terrified. It is worth mentioning now that the blue team has gone triple Piggy Bank and has started picking up some other interesting one. Counterintelligence Cross. is an interesting item on Sentry that I never pick up. So why would Sam be picking this up right now?
Well, he's picked it up now because he needs to zone. What the red team have at the moment is they have way too much space to do what they want to. What this counterintelligence cross is going to do is going to give them a lot more zoning and give blue team that kind of necessary pressure they need, because blue team is very slow, and if they're kept pinned in a corner, they're not really going to have the space they need to really capitalize on what they want. And also, Sentry's AA tends to work quite nicely against low HP characters. And we're seeing a Leon and a Coco, two relatively squishy noughts on the red team, and that AA is going to do nice if we can just keep chipping them down and make sure they're basically never at full health when they want to start a fight.
Now, another stat that I'm looking at right now is the Solar Spent, because I really do feel like that's a really good judge of power level for a lot of characters. It's interesting to note that despite the fact that we have triple piggy bank on the blue team, the red team does seem to be slightly more money-wise. They've spent more money on being more powerful. The Leon just managing to reach 500,000 now, with another damage pickup on the Morningstar piercing for his tongue. The Clunk has piggy banked into nothing useful, and the other two are just barely keeping up with the red team. This is not a good start for the blue team, is it?
Yeah, I mean, Clunk has some expensive items. We're just seeing him pick up Snare Bite now. I mean, Clunk generally, he takes quite a lot of solo to get going. And, well, to be honest, all the noughts on the blue team take quite a lot of solo to get going, whereas red team, they have the kind of more, a few of the cheaper upgrades to really sort of accelerate their build and even the curve out. But you also have to bear in mind that Coco is still only running base abilities, and we did have 2 piggy banks into very early aggressive items on the Leon and the Durple. So, even though it's a decent indicator, the kind of the solo that's been stored up, then they don't have that much of an advantage at the moment. It's more the kills and the sort of the slow advantage they're building up.
Fair enough. Out comes a really good black hole. Bass Ketchup is stuck into an explode. What a tongue! Just barely manages to save the Durple. The Durple is running for his life. He's just managing to somehow stay alive for a little bit longer, and he does get out. So does Pushkin. The tongue of the century. That is the best tongue I've seen in forever. Managing to save his Durple teammate and avoiding the pickoff. Incredible play by Pushkin. Bat Catsuit being picked up by the Durple as well, so the damage is now increased by 100% versus enemies who are snared. This is different than what I remember. And then a very good knockback ball going to save the team again. This red team is controlling the blue team, and specifically the Clunk, to an extreme degree right now.
It's a very interesting way of building Durple, and if anything, it kind of counters what we've been talking about with the kind of tank meta. If Durple went for the kind of traditional build, he'd be very reliant on cooldown, specifically nuke cooldown, because that would basically be all their team fight. But by building AA, he's just got a very high amount of constant damage, and he's able to just keep damaging these tanky comps. So having that extra health doesn't help when the extra health only means you're going to survive maybe 2 more AAs. Whereas before, if you're against like a heavy cooldown comp, surviving with 5 HP means you can do so much more. Baz
Ketchup being caught in a black hole, but it's not going to be enough. And in comes the snare, now the cat suit coming out. It actually is doing a decent amount of damage. Sam very low, does get picked off by the blaze. Baz Ketchup just barely surviving.
Oh my god.
That tongue almost killed his teammate, but they knew exactly how much damage that character was going to be able to do, and they managed to kill him before he can do anything to the low HP Durple. That'll be another pickoff. 2-0 now for the red team. They're looking exceptionally good with the damage amplifier and the knockback now on the Coco, and everything else going well for them. This is very good for them. Other important upgrades, we have the AoE increase on the Sentry, we have Fragmentation Shells, and we do have Twister Lance now coming out for the Scoop. So the blue team is trying to find those power items, those really useful bang for your buck items for getting that efficiency out on the field. But again, it is looking a little rough for them. They're now full level behind, really, and this is... yeah, it's looking a little rough. What do they have to do to come back into this?
I mean, they need to find these clean kills. They need to get a nice black hole and move forward with the explode and really try and kill this Durple. If you can kill a Durple, then that's their sort of continuous damage gone, and then they've only got the tongue and the Coco Ball really, and you've probably got enough health to sort of beat them in an AA fight. But with this Durple with the cats, the constant stream of damage, if this Durple lives, he's able to do so much DPS and just really stop that from happening.
The snares are disgusting too. They're everywhere. They last forever. This big team needs to be able to initiate on... Oh, what a knockback into a snare. That was actually really cool. If only the Durple was there. But it really feels like these snares are inhibiting this blue team from really going anywhere. They're more dangerous than a Yuri mine to these guys, because if they're stuck, they're just easy prey for Coco and stuff. I'm expecting to see silence come out on this Durple because the silence on snare would be killer.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely be seeing silence. We might even see duration on the snare. We might not see him building nuke at all this game, which would be very strange from what Durples normally go for.
Oh, Black Hole Sun, and maybe there's our clean kill. Badass Ketchup going down. Sam now quite low, but was not going to be in danger of dying as the rest of his team comes to support him. Trump being a bit of a wall for his team there. Really, really nice, forcing the rest of his team off.
Yeah, this is where Rusty wants you really need to push up. They need to try and pressure this top tower as much as possible, but Jas knows this. He's going to ball the droid wave away and just buy as much time for this Durple to get back, and he has just hit the ground, so then they're really going to get half a bar of damage into that top tower.
Yeah, just barely managing to get that half a bar or two, so it's
all
all
seeing
good.
Snare duration start being picked up by this Durple, so those snares are really going to halt the advance of this Clunk, because it's really the Clunk that's going to push forward. You know, the hammer and stuff is only ready to secure things in the black hole.
Oh, what a knockback ball! I'm sorry. That is the amount of control coming out of HDTV is incredible. It's the one thing that Clunk cannot deal with. Even with a baby Curry Mammoth, it just won't be enough between tongue and knockback ball. They will put him where they please, and that is going to absolutely stop any explosions from being useful. And same goes for bindings, even with all those upgrades going into it.
Yeah, HDTV are just playing their socks off right now. They're being incredible. This is beautiful play. Everything's synced up. You've got the balls, the tongues, just perfect. Keeping the initiates away, and they're doing exactly what they want to, and they're executing it perfectly. They're finding the times when they're working out when Full Monty wants to go in, and they're just reacting in precisely the right way to do it. And they deserve to be winning at this point. They deserve to be 5-1 kills up and 2 levels ahead.
So what's the I'm looking at this particular comp right now, and I'm calling this a mitigation game. They see a thing and they mitigate whatever damage it can do, and then counter with whatever damage they have. How do you counter a kind of oh wait, Badass Ketchup taking a little bit of damage. He is just barely gonna get caught by this black hole and will not die to it. Are you kidding me? It does end up surviving. Well played by Badass Ketchup, I guess. But how do you counter a mitigation game like this when you're a team that is so reliant on just, well, being big and beefy, which makes them easy to play around and play with?
I mean, they are kind of building for it. We're seeing AA upgrades being bought, and we're seeing on the Sentry and the Clunk specifically, because that's kind of what they have to do. They need to zone out and sort of try and out AA this Durple, because if they can have enough damage that the Durple is afraid to go in and, you know, stay in lane, you can pressure them off the lane, then you're doing fine. Then you get the space to do what you want to do. But at the moment, they just don't have that lane pressure, and Durple can just sort of almost uncontested just places mines, uses AA, and get as much damage as he wants. And
is the Durple really the thing now? No, I'm just had a thought. What if they need to get the kills on, say, the Leon more than the Durple?
I mean, the thing is, though, killing this Leon is going to be difficult because he's very fast and he's going to be protected by snares.
Jas landed perfect lightning ball again. He doesn't stop.
It's unreal. They're landing everything perfectly. I'm saying this kind of mitigation comp is what they're going for, but for it to work, they still have to land everything perfectly, and that is exactly what they're doing. You know, this is very high-level gameplay we're seeing here.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a don't try this at home thing. Despite all of the advantages they have, though, it's still. Oh wow, we finally have the turret. It's coming out. Out comes the explode. It's going to miss. Now Pushkin going in for the tongue. It's going to land. Sam does land a black hole, but at what cost? His life. Badass Ketchup does now have turret mode. He can do damage. This is where the push for his team comes from. This is how he starts getting that kind of bulwark. Pushkin just manages to sneak in, grab a kill, and that's going to be an easy bottom turret. Badass Ketchup managing to also land a snare right there too, so it's going to be really easy to deal with Sam if he decides to show up there. But that was... I think that turret mode came in at a perfect time.
Yeah,
like they have turret for DPS and they have cat for whenever somebody gets snared DPS.
Yeah, also the other thing the turret mode does is it allows Durple to solo kill someone if he catches them in a snare. Like if Durple's now alone, Durple has now become a roamer, which is a bit of an odd role for Durple, that he's just running around placing snares, being a nuisance, while his team is in support to knock anyone away if they try and initiate on him. Like the Durple is the front, and then you've got Leon and Coco sitting behind him to just keep him safe whenever an initiate tries to happen.
Speaking of some interesting things going on with this Durple, he does end up picking up the silence. We also started seeing a counter move out of the Clunk. Zadokor going for that Baby Curry Mammoth nice and early. Sam tries to fly over. The nuke does not end up happening, but I don't think much will be happening there. Instead, Donald Trump gets completely caught out in a snare and gets murderfied. That silence absolutely sinking the kill. Pushkin, the explode, it's not there. Zadokor is now running for his life, but there's no turret there. Was he thinking? The bite misses. He's so low, but they still managed to kill the Pushkin. Zadokor gets picked off by the lightning ball. Instead, Sam now in a bad spot. He tries to run away, will survive, although just barely missing that snare trap. That would have killed him if he had been hit by that. So well played by Sam, not getting caught out there, but that's still a 2-for-1 exchange at the end and a little bit more turret damage up on this top area. Badass catch up, and Jas doing an excellent job of doing a little bit more damage there.
I just want to point out, this Coco has been landing every ball perfectly into snares the entire game, but it does definitely help the Coco. It makes the job a lot easier when you're dealing with 3 of the slowest and tankiest Nauts in the game. You know, large hitbox, very easy for Coco to hit. But
no stuns.
Still, and no stuns to, you know, there's no way, other than, I guess, Silence Pulse on the Sentry, but that hasn't been purchased yet. There is no way for this Coco to have her ball interrupted and miss, other than if she misses it herself. You know, she's got a nice, easy, calm roll to do. And
speaking of which, out comes a snare into a perfect lightning ball. They tried to find something onto the scoop, did not end up happening. Instead, she gets killed. Zadokor gets picked up on the backside thanks to Pushkin, Tongue, and lots of good damage out of Badass Ketchup. Now they're looking for a kill onto Donald Trump. Donald Trump, however, does have some backup. Sam will end up helping to get a kill with a good teleburst. Out comes some damage with the Tongue and the Slash. It's going to be enough to get the kill there as well. So far, 2 for 2. Donald Trump will have to back off. Pushkin will get some kills and some creep farm as well, and will get some HP. This is an interesting 2 for 2, but that's all it ended up being. No one getting a real advantage there.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Halberd of Justice being picked up on the scoop, because what the scoop can do, potentially, if they have the Halberd, is really, really heavily commit to the Durple kill, and then, you know, you can lose as much health as you want. You can take the nuke, you can take a ball maybe, and then if they get the Durple kill, he's back to half, and then suddenly the Leon and the Coco don't have enough abilities to deal with them because he's got enough health. The Halberd would really, really help them out here, but as I said, they would still have to kill the Durple, which is proving to be one hell of a task. He's only died twice in this entire game.
Fair, but you could, if you do get the chance to kill other people like the Coco that started this all off, they don't have as much HP. Oh wow, a really good black hole, but it's not going to be enough to get the kill on Badass Ketchup. Donald Trump is now going to get cut apart by Leon. Sam trying to look and find another kill is super low, will get picked off by Jas. Zadokor gets Tongue, is trying to survive the Leon, but the Leon will pick up the kill, and that'll be a 3-man wipe for the red team. Kind of seemingly out of nowhere too. I don't think anyone really expected that one come to come together as quickly as it did. It was really subtle, if that makes any sense. There weren't a lot of big plays, just lots of little ones that came together to kill off the entire team. And now the HDTV pushing out this bottom turret, and it's taking an incredible amount of damage. It might even go down.
Yeah, it's weird. Full Monty were really heavily reliant on cooldowns that fight, and you know, at the moment, HDTV just have the AA and they have the sort of the team fight brawling that, you know, when everyone's used their abilities and it's all a massive scrap, they're gonna win. You know, they've got regen pills, they've got Durple's AA, they've got Leon picking up Slowblade and Backstab, and you know, these upgrades are really good at chasing people down once they've not got anything to respond with, really. And you know, Full Monty just weren't quite as coordinated as they needed to be to sync their damage up in the right places.
That damage coordination too, like the cooldown coordination that they need to have to make this comp work, is also heavily reliant on at least having it land on 2, maybe even 3 knots. A pickoff is not what their team needs or wants. It doesn't actually help them all that much because the rest of the team can kind of counter. Donald, taking a ton of damage, will manage to heal most of it back off. Pushkin now backing off as a result of him taking some damage, but he'll be fine. He can just pick up some HP and he'll be right back in the thick of it. But that brawling potential you mentioned is pretty huge. I would agree with you on that one. It's kind of defining how these fights are going because, well, Rusty Monty's not able to get what they need. They're not getting enough. Although they do get a pick off here, which is really good, and they will pick off Jas with a well-placed black hole. That black hole buff, by the way, alongside the bug detector, is a huge ability now. Again, after it was previously kind of useless for a little while, it's not as helpful. I'm expecting to see at least a couple of baby curry mammoths come out for the red team as well to be able to avoid those situations.
Well, yeah, we have just seen one being bought by the Coco for that exact reason, and we're also seeing full slow ball on this Coco to just really keep people in place. You know, they've got the displacement with the knockback ball, and then they've got the heavy fire in that ball as well. He's just going to mean they're super displaced, you know, and nowhere to get out. Durple might be going down here.
Yeah, Durple takes a bit of damage, decides to drop in turret mode, bounces back up instead, then gets picked off by a well-played, you know, just surrounded. He had no means of escape. He tried multiple ways, multiple times, and just couldn't find a way out. He gets killed. Pushkin now trying to find a way to defend, but this is a really good moment for Blue. They can maybe get some push done, maybe even take out this, just do some farm, get some experience, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I do want to mention that I think that fight could have gone in HDTV's favor if Pushkin and Jess were in the right position. They were on the other side of that little wall by the booster, and they just couldn't really get into a position to help the Durple. If they had, I think that fight could have gone very, very differently.
Absolutely, especially because this entire game is kind of defined by the help the Durple meta that they've kind of made for themselves.
Oh, that's
what just happened? That came out of nowhere. An incredible amount of damage just took out the two squishiest members of the red team, and now Badass Ketchup coming in at a bad time. Trying to save who? No one knows. An incredible missile's going to be able to get the kill there, and that'll be a 3-man wipe in favor of the blue team. Rusty Monty not looking so rusty anymore. It's a well-oiled engine now as they've got their steam train rolling. It's incredible to see what their makeup's supposed to do finally working the way that it was meant to.
They might just about have enough time to get the tower, although Leon and Coco have just arrived, and they're going to be coming in. If they're not careful, Rusty might have just used her abilities, and Coco's coming in from behind. This could be a bad situation for them.
Absolutely, Explode coming out. It does hit Pushkin, but that's only a third of Pushkin's HP. He'll be okay. Now we've got Coco trying to go in from the side and everything, but the early game where we saw HGTV just kind of dictating where the blue team was going to go, where the explodes happened and everything, it seems to have vanished. And I'll be honest, I don't know why. What ended up changing this game as much as it has? Has it just been like a lot of little plays, or did the blue team just end up getting enough HP to be able to survive this stuff?
I don't think it's the blue team got enough HP. I think it's the blue team finally got enough damage where they can kind of miss maybe, you know, a hammer and a few AAs and still be able to pick up a kill. You know, we're seeing full binding damage on the scoop, even with the Spoon Man as well, giving you an extra 12% damage. They're starting to get all the damage they need. We're seeing double star stun on Sam, you know. They're getting the black hole and the explode, and it's finally starting to pay off and giving them the kills they need. You know, they've come back with a lot of kills recently, and they were very heavily down. Well, Sam might go down here.
Might, but he will end up surviving for now. He's quite low, but now the red team feel a little bit greedy, and I would caution against this. This kind of greedy positioning out of red team could get them killed. Pushkin gonna go ahead and try to do a little bit of stabbing, but they'll back off, and they go right back to being a little bit more conservative with their placement, which makes a lot of sense in their situation right now. They need to be able to play conservatively, but greedy when it's smart to. And right there, it did not feel smart to be greedy, so they backed off. I feel wisely, but I could be wrong.
Okay, this is interesting. Look at Sam's upgrades. He's just bought the Silence Beacon and the Invis Beacon when it's been placed for 3 seconds. That upgrade got buffed recently, got halved in price, and if they can force a fight around there, that's going to be amazing. You know, HGTV really needs to be aware of where that beacon is at all times, you know, because it's quite easy to forget when it's Invis. You know, that's all of a sudden you're silenced for 2 seconds and you have a sentry on top of you. It can be quite terrifying. We are seeing Pushkin going for the back door.
And he is going to successfully get into the base. He's going to poke it a couple times. It does bring Sam out of the area. He's now going to try to deal with Pushkin in a kind of one-on-one duel. As it stands, he does manage to get a reasonable black hole, but he's invisible for at least another 6 seconds. Because, you know, like that nerf to Leon's Invis did happen. Pushkin now in a bit of a weird spot. He's stuck. He's waiting for that Invis cooldown. He's trying to get out. Out comes the explode. It's in a good spot. That'll be a good pickup onto Pushkin. Now the blue team can push with abandon. And with a 3v2 advantage. That is huge. Sam gets snared. Takes a lot of damage thanks to the Catgan. Really? The Catling gun is what I tried to say at the same time. But it's not going to be enough to get the kill on him. Badass Ketchup now going to get taken out by a well-placed explode. Sam will get out of there alive. Wow. Now, Black Hole comes out. Jass gets picked off. That's a 3-man wipe. Seemingly kind of just like an oops moment out of HDTV. And Rusty Monty going to go in and start dealing some real damage to this core. And I think it's going to be game because Leon by himself cannot defend against this. And then comes like one good explode, snare bite, boom, he's done too. And that'll be game right there. Rusty Monty taking the first game in this best of 3 with what seemed like a really bad start turning into an incredibly strong finish.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of came down to once it hit late game, Rusty Monty had enough damage to finally get the kills, and the Durple, because the map had opened up and all the towers had gone, those snares were a bit less effective. You could find ways around it. You could just back off from the position, and and if they wanted to push even more, they were starting to overextend a bit. So once the map pressure kind of faded as the game progressed, it kind of became a bit easier for Full Monty to find those kills and finally deal the damage they wanted to. They also had the sustain and the health, the tankiness that they needed to not get picked off by landing on one snare and Durple throwing a few AAs at you and one tongue coming out. They Rusty Monty finally started sticking together and actually capitalizing on those team fights. And shame to say, as amazing as Jass's balls were in the early game, the Coco balls were just insane in the early game and the mid game.
Fucking diamond plated. They were incredible. I realize I swore, but that's largely because, wow, they were incredible.
It's worth breaking the family-friendly rule on that, on how amazing they were. But he just started to lose it. Well, not necessarily lose it, but I just didn't see as many of them when we got into the late game. It just wasn't quite as decisive, and we started seeing the explodes and the bindings and the hammers and the black holes starting to hit the target they were going for, which was the Durple a lot of the times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the decisive lightning balls ended up vanishing after the midway point of the game, and the tongue, although it was incredible early game, it felt like it didn't end up doing enough later on. Especially the silence upgrade, as good as it is, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, they're trying to tongue into snares that already had an 8-second long silence, it feels like. So it feels like that might have been an interesting opportunity to maybe pick up something else, maybe not blind, but lifesteal or something, to be able to give them that.
Range would have been interesting.
Range would have been great. Yeah, range would have been fantastic. But not the case. Yeah, not the case. Game 1 does end up going to Full Monty regardless. We're going to a Game 2. Will HDTV be able to bring it back to a 1-to-1 series, or are they going to take a 2-game series over on Full Monty? We will find out a little bit later. But is there anything else you wanted to add, Edster?
Well, I mean, yeah. We can go back to the break. I'm interested to see how this will progress into Game 2 and Game 3. This is the final, so everything's at stake. And when I mean everything, I mean one skin and a certain amount of points to get you into that top 8 position for the very grand finals. So, yeah, we will see you then.
Stay tuned.
User disconnected from your channel.
Hello, stream! It's been a long time and I hope you're still awake, because there's still another match to cast. Right now it's just myself, Devmon, and I'm waiting on my co-host Skinner, but I may as well just jump right into the game to get you prepared for what's going to happen. The last game, we just had Monty versus HDTV, and HDTV lost at the last minute just because Durple got picked off while he's trying to do a cat's on sentry, leaving Monty to take that win. However, HDTV is not down and out yet. If they can win this game, they can move on to a third match. But if they don't, Monty will win and take all the cards for this week. So, let's jump into the picks and bans right now, just so I can clarify them before everything begins. So, first and foremost, this map is Ribbit. Ribbit, of course, being quite popular today, actually, with the jump pad middle, and everybody's just kind of having a fun time ganking each other in the jungle. In terms of picks and bans, I'm just going to list all the bans right around, and we have on the red team, we have HDTV banning out Durple and Ayla. Durple actually being banned for the first time, I believe, in this tournament. He did get used in the last match, and that is quite apparent. I believe that HDTV is trying to ban the Durple so that Team Monty can't use the Durple, as, well, Badass Ketchup does love his Durple. On the other side, Full Monty's banned both Ted and Leon. Leon's a fairly solid pick, and even with some of the nerfs and changes, he's been pretty popular and competitive. The infinite self being gone has not really impacted him that much. One clone, not really much as well, and the base auto attack buff damage has actually been quite significant for him. Meanwhile, Ted, also receiving nerfs, is actually still pretty good right now. Given that this is Ribbit, and Ribbit is so vertical, that jump pad can be contested highly with that airstrike, and airstrike is just a very devastating skill in general. We can see, well, I guess if he was in the match, we'd see that he actually does reduce damage to droids with the airstrike now, but still makes quite an impact. In terms of picks, though, HDTV's managed to pick up Scoop, which has been a solid choice throughout the tournament. He's quite good, actually, and the Halberd of Justice has been picked up a few times and has shown itself to be very strong. We also have Coco on that same team. She's been picked up a few times as well, and she's made her point. She's got that CC, and the knockback ball that we saw last game was absolutely fantastic. There are a whole bunch of times where Clunk was going to go in with the whole team, that black hole set up just to kill that Durple, and nope, it's the knockback ball to save the day. Following up those two, we have Lone Star on the same team, and Lone Star in the other match has proven himself to be a pushing monster, and he was even on Ribbit. So we might see the exact same thing we saw before. Builds might change depending on the team for the other team though, so we'll have to see. In terms of the team for Monty though, Monty's picked up Genji, which is a solid member of any team, great CC, and with the new changes of Cocoon, which I don't think were mentioned before, he actually time freezes things, so that changes up the situation for certain matchups, including Clunk, who's actually on his team. Speaking of which, Clunk being on his team, again a really good person to have on that team, capitalizing on that Cocoon and just doing as much as possible. And as before with another previous team comp that we've seen before, we actually have Swiggins being picked up along those three, so we've got a very burst-centric, high damage, kind of ganky, competitive focus for Team Monty. Meanwhile, HDTV has some gank in mind, but they've got lots of disengage with Bull, Ball, and even the Hammer just to kind of move around. Given how the map is... Excuse me. Skinner should be back in just a second, but before I begin, just mention that Ribbit, as we've seen before, will be the host to a lot of different things going on. Given both team comps, we might actually see the Solar Bus being taken by probably Lone Star and Coco. Might even have Scoop come after that. Swiggins, with his recent auto attack buffs, as in, I believe, a patch before last, was able to do a lot more work, so he might be having the Solar Boss taken out on the other side as well. Solar might be there, but overall, I think the general strategy is going to be engage versus disengage. We're going to have the Swiggins and we're going to have the Genji try to go in as much as possible. Probably Clunk with the either Drop Explode or even the Reverse Drop Explode, which is taking the bouncer in the bottom of Ribbit, going up the chimney, and exploding on the top. Until the mid-game opens up, there's going to be a lot of close quarters combat, and it might favor the Team Full Monty for that. But we'll have to see. In terms of early pickups and pickups in general, you might see some Baby Curry Mammoths going off. Swiggins with his CC as well as Clunk probably picking up Snare Bite and Slow Explode might be something worthwhile to contest. Meanwhile, Scoop with his Hammer, Cloak with the Blaze, and Lone Star probably with a double Slow Ball will probably be good countermeasures, or be best to countermeasure with the Baby Curry Mammoth. Other than that, I think we can be expecting a fairly standard match between the two, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, this is the second match of a best-of-3 series, so if HTTV wins, they'll make up for their loss last game and they'll move on to a third game. However, if that's not the case, then Team Monty will win the game and actually come out ahead. They'll have the whole tournament for the first week, and they'll be in a better position for next week. I believe they also take home a few Awesome skins, courtesy of Ronimo Games, and puts themselves in a better position for the grand prize, which is later on. Other than that, I just need to wait on Skinner for a second.
I am here.
Cool.
Hello. I apologize for that long delay. I was having some problems here with some people here, and yeah, I'm finally here now. And that was a great analysis, Devmon, and I have nothing else to add to that. I was listening to half of it, and I understood everything you said, and I think without any more further delays, which I apologize for in the meantime, we should just jump right into the game.
Alright, you ready for a countdown?
I am at the 9-second mark and ready to roll.
Cool. So 3, 2, 1, mark. And here we go. So we'll see what my predictions are correct or if they're incorrect. Are there any early pickups that you think we might see?
We might see at least base abilities. Let's see what they got. We see piggy banks, 2 piggy banks coming from the blue team here. It's going to be piggy into regen, really odd, and piggy into damage, overtime on AA. There's a lot of damage. Oh my god, Badass Ketchup dying! He almost got the health back. That wasn't enough by a millimeter, if not less. That was insane. I thought for sure you would get that health back, but 40 seconds into the game, we already have first blood coming in for Mr. Sam here, playing Yogenji. Now he gets a sick cocoon. Donald Trump inside already, but the explode is not quite there. Now Swiggins is in a bad spot here. He's gonna try to go for that HP pack. He's gonna get it, but he's not gonna save him too much. He's gonna try to deal any damage possible to Jazz there. It's not gonna be enough now. Sam is there. Oh, Jazz didn't teleport out. He's trying to help his team there. Cybercore 1v1ing. They are not together. Sam and Cybercore, they were not together, and that resulted in a kill. But still, Sam managed to get a kill in trade over on Coco. And right now, red team is pushing, but once he's there, the Exploit is going to deny that push.
So that's 4 kills in basically what amounts to a minute. Have we seen something this fast-paced, like, ever? I mean, Ribbit is a small map, but that is ridiculous for speed. This is high competitive, high ganking, if I've ever seen any.
Yeah, like 4 kills in a minute? Wow, that's gotta be a record of some sort. So right now, they're probably gonna... Okay, so I say this a lot. When people, when teams like this, high tier teams, they get into these confrontations and there's a lot of kills happening early game, they're just gonna try to respect them more. But, well, never mind, the Exploded coming in, the blue team being so aggressive in the enemy jungle. But no kills happening so far, but the push is gonna happen on top. But Jazz is there, hopefully, to save the day for that poor top tower.
We can see here that Ketchup's actually taking a lot of damage to have to go back. Blue team is working really well together. They're very coordinated, and that speed blessing from Genji, plus the explode from Clunk is making a big difference. If Coco can afford to piggy bank into knockback ball, that might be her best bet to counteract the strategy. Just like last game where we have the black hole starting to explode. Sam has very low health, going to go pick up some health creeps. Meanwhile, red team's going to try to control that middle a little bit more than possible. Zydecore's going to have to be forced back off as long as they can keep him away from A health.